People are in awe of you. The rumors about you are getting out of hand and you don't even know it. Have you noticed how some rooms become strangely quiet the moment you walk into them, even when no one says a single word? There is something important here, because what you cannot see is often shaping the way people remember you long after you have left. You may believe your life has been ordinary, your presence unnoticed, and your efforts hidden beneath the noise of everyone else's story. Yet the truth is that your quiet way of carrying yourself has created an impression that reaches much farther than you imagine. People are talking about you not because you demanded attention, but because there is something about your energy that they struggle to explain. Some admire it openly, while others try to understand it through conversations that happen when your name unexpectedly enters the room. You have no idea how often your kindness, your calmness, or even your silence becomes the subject of someone's thoughts. Stay with this, because what you are about to understand may completely change the way you see your own journey. You have spent so much time questioning yourself that you rarely stop to consider how others experience your presence. You notice your imperfections before anyone else ever could. You replay your mistakes, wonder if you said the wrong thing, and sometimes leave a conversation believing you were forgettable. Meanwhile, another person is thinking about how peaceful they felt after speaking with you. Someone else remembers the encouragement you offered without realizing how deeply it stayed with them. Another quietly wonders how you remain genuine in a world where so many people seem to wear masks. These thoughts spread naturally from one conversation to another, becoming stories that grow because they are rooted in something real. They are not stories created to make you larger than life. They are reflections of moments that touched people in ways you never expected. That is why the attention surrounding you feels invisible from your perspective, but surprisingly clear from everyone else's. There is an interesting pattern that often appears when someone begins growing in ways they cannot yet recognize. While you are focused on becoming a better version of yourself, other people are trying to figure out what changed. They notice your patience before you do. They notice the confidence quietly replacing old doubts. They notice that you no longer chase every opinion or seek approval from every voice around you. Those small inner changes create curiosity. People begin asking questions because they sense a difference but cannot fully explain it. Some think you discovered a secret. Others believe life suddenly became easier for you. The reality is much simpler. You have been growing one quiet decision at a time, and those steady choices have created a presence that feels stronger without becoming louder. That kind of growth always captures attention because it cannot be imitated overnight. It comes from experiences that slowly reshape a person's heart. Perhaps the most surprising part is that you are still living as though nothing extraordinary is happening. You wake up, carry your responsibilities, work through your own uncertainties, and continue moving forward without realizing that your story has become meaningful to people who watch from a distance. Some are inspired because they see resilience where you only remember difficult days. Others are encouraged because they see hope reflected in your actions, even during moments when you felt uncertain inside. There is a quiet connection forming between who you are becoming and the people whose lives are touched simply by observing your journey. Do not miss what comes next, because this is only the beginning of understanding why your name continues to appear in conversations you have never even heard. Sometimes the most meaningful things happening around you never arrive with applause. They unfold in ordinary conversations where your name comes up unexpectedly, and someone pauses for a moment before saying, "There is just something different about that person." They are not always talking about your achievements or the way you look. More often, they are trying to describe a feeling they cannot easily put into words. Your presence has become memorable because it feels genuine. And in a world where many people try so hard to be noticed, authenticity quietly stands out. You may never hear these conversations, yet they continue without your invitation. There is something important here, because what people remember most is rarely perfection. It is the rare comfort they felt when someone allowed them to simply be themselves, and whether you realize it or not, you have offered that feeling more often than you think. What makes the stories about you grow is not mystery alone. It is the contrast between how you see yourself and how others experience you. You remember the days you doubted your choices, questioned your direction, and wondered if you were making any difference at all. Other people remember someone who remained steady when situations became uncertain. They remember a calm voice instead of panic, thoughtful words instead of unnecessary noise, and quiet confidence instead of constant self-promotion. Those moments became part of the way they describe you to someone else. And with every retelling, your reputation becomes less about a single event and more about the lasting impression you leave behind. You never planned for that to happen. It happened naturally because people tend to remember those who make them feel seen rather than those who simply try to impress them. There is also another side to this that deserves your attention. As people try to understand you, they often fill in the spaces they cannot see with their own imagination. They wonder what motivates you, what gives you peace, and how you remain grounded through changing seasons of life. Their curiosity says more about the impact you have than it does about any secret you might be keeping. You do not need to explain every part of yourself or prove why you have changed. Some things are meant to unfold quietly, allowing your actions to speak more clearly than endless explanations ever could. The gentle confidence growing inside you has become more convincing than any speech you could give. Stay with this, because the next realization is even more meaningful than the conversations themselves. The truth is that your greatest influence has never come from trying to become unforgettable. It has come from choosing to remain true to the person you are becoming, even when no one appeared to notice. Every act of patience, every quiet decision to keep moving forward, and every moment you chose kindness over recognition has been shaping a story that others continue to talk about long after the moment has passed. The remarkable part is that your journey is still unfolding. The version of yourself people admire today is only one chapter, not the final one. As you continue growing with humility and quiet purpose, you may finally begin to see yourself through the same hopeful lens that so many others already do. There comes a moment in every quiet journey when you begin to realize that your influence has been growing long before your confidence ever caught up with it. You have been measuring your life by what still feels unfinished, while others have been noticing how far you have already come. They speak about the way you carry yourself after difficult seasons, the way you continue showing kindness without expecting recognition, and the calm certainty that seems to surround you even when life becomes unpredictable. What feels ordinary to you has become extraordinary to someone else because they have watched your consistency over time. They are not inspired by a perfect image. They are inspired by someone who kept moving forward without losing the qualities that made them human in the first place. There is something important here because this difference explains why your name continues to stay in people's minds long after brief encounters have ended. One conversation quietly leads to another. A friend mentions you while sharing a story about resilience. A coworker remembers your thoughtful advice during an ordinary day. Someone you have not spoken to in months unexpectedly recalls the encouragement you once offered when they needed it most. None of these moments were planned, yet together they create something larger than any single interaction. This is how meaningful impressions grow. They travel gently from person to person, not through loud announcements, but through sincere memories. You may never know how many people carry a small lesson they learned simply by watching the way you handled life's ordinary challenges. That is the quiet beauty of genuine influence. It often reaches places your own eyes will never see, touching lives without asking for attention or applause. Perhaps the reason all of this feels surprising is because you have been so focused on becoming better that you never stopped to notice the quiet transformation already taking place. Growth rarely feels dramatic from the inside. It feels like small decisions repeated every day. Choosing patience instead of frustration, choosing understanding instead of quick judgment, choosing hope when uncertainty would have been easier. Those choices slowly reshape not only your character, but also the atmosphere people experience whenever they are around you. They begin to trust your words because they have watched your actions. They feel comfortable opening their hearts because they sense they will not be misunderstood. Don't miss what comes next, because the greatest part of your story has very little to do with popularity and everything to do with the lasting impression your heart leaves behind. As these conversations continue, something even more meaningful begins to happen. Without realizing it, you become a quiet reminder that authenticity still exists. People who have grown tired of pretending find comfort in someone who simply chooses to be real. Those searching for hope begin believing that personal growth is possible because they have witnessed it through your example. Even those who barely know you find themselves curious about the peaceful confidence you carry. The remarkable truth is that you never needed to chase admiration for any of this to happen. It unfolded naturally through your willingness to remain genuine, even during seasons when no one seemed to notice. And as this quiet influence continues to spread, you are about to discover that the most meaningful stories people tell about you are not based on what you achieved, but on how you made them believe that becoming their truest self was possible too.